Can anyone hear me? Good morning, everyone.
Good morning, Ruth.
Good morning,
All
Ruth.
right,
We can
thank
hear
you.
you.
All right, so we are happy to have you all on the call this morning, and we strongly believe that today's session is going to be superlative and a time to learn something new. So I must commend our facilitator for joining in early, and I want to say that please, for the civic champions, it's very important that you're already here before the facilitator comes, because this learning session is majorly for us. I know that yes, sometimes you have network issues and the rest of them, but it's also very important to communicate if you have any problem so that we don't come and we are waiting. Because from what I can see, we just have 3 civic champions and there are remaining 2. So please, in our next learning session, this should not repeat itself. Thank you very much. So at this point, I would like to know how everyone is doing in our usual manner, because it's very important to know how your audience is doing to be sure they are ready to listen. So Gabriel, let's start from you. How are you doing today?
Hello, good morning, ma'am. Good morning, everyone. I'm doing good. I had a good night's rest. It's good to be here again to learn. Thank you.
All right, that's fantastic. So Charity, how are you doing today? All right, if Charity can't hear me, Pascal, over to you. Hope you're doing fine today.
Yes, good morning, Ruth, once again. I'm good. Thanks to God.
Charity says she's also doing fine. That's good to know. Victoria, you're welcome. How are you doing today?
Good morning. I'm fine, thank you.
All right, that's good to know. So our amiable facilitator, you're welcome. I would also like to know, how are you doing today, ma?
Good morning, everyone. I'm okay. I'm good. Thank you.
All right, that's fantastic. So we're going to do a little icebreaker so that we kick into what we have for today. So I'm going to be sharing my screen now. Okay, so on my screen, I believe you can see my screen, and then we have research and data collection and data collection. So today we're going to be looking at research and data collection, and our icebreaker will be on that. So the title of our game this morning is Game 4321. Game 4321. So let me move. All right, so we're going to start by mentioning 4 words that start with letter A related to research and data collection. This is not new to us. We did 6, 4, 3, 2, 1 the first time we had this learning session. So, but this time around, we are going to be doing 4, 3, 2, 1. So we are starting with 4 words. I'm going to start with Pascal. So Pascal, you give me one word that starts with letter A related to research and data collection. This is just to gauge our knowledge on this. Thank you. Pascal, over to you. One word from you.
Okay, accuracy is one word from me.
Okay, beautiful. Victoria, one word related to letter A. All right, Gabriel, one word that starts with letter A related to research and data collection. Can anyone hear me?
Yes.
Or am I the only one? Okay, seems these people are having network issues. All right. Let's move to
Hello,
Charity.
can
Charity.
anyone hear me?
Yes, I can. We can hear you now.
Analysis.
This is that's fantastic. Thank you. Charity, one word related to research and data collection. Letter A.
Hello?
Hello, everyone.
Hello. Yes, hello.
Okay. Let me just pick up from where she stopped. She said everybody should mention a word that starts with letter A,
All right.
in relation to research and data collection.
Okay. Okay, from my end, articles.
All right. Thank you very much, Oluwabumi, for stepping in. All right, let's move ahead. Let's move to the last one so that we don't waste much time because it seems our network is not really friendly this morning. So the final on the list, Pascal, give us one word that starts with letter D related to research and data collection.
Okay. Letter D, data itself is also there.
All right, thank you very much. So for now, that will be all from my end. So at this point, we have a very amiable woman in our midst, and she's going to be our speaker for today. If you look at my screen, you see something special. Her name is Oluwabukumi Obadeyi. She's our very own dearly beloved and our indigenous products. So Oluwabukumi Obadeyi is a monitoring, evaluation, program management and research expert with focus on public health, education, and livelihood in the Nigerian context. She has experience in program planning and implementation, monitoring and evaluation systems within both qualitative and quantitative means, and project reporting systems. She has a proven track record in coordinating adaptation process using the human-centered design approach in understanding and creating solutions that are rooted in needs and experiences of project beneficiaries. So at this point, I would like you to relax, get your pen, get your paper, and then tap from her wealth of knowledge. I strongly believe that by the end of this learning session, our view on research and data collection will greatly changed. Will greatly be changed. So once again, you're welcome, ma. We're happy to have you in our midst. And the civic champions, please show some level of warm welcome for our speaker. Thank you. So over to you. Over to you, ma. Thank you.
Good morning, everyone. Thank you for having me. So, we learn from each other. So I'm sure along the line, I'll learn from everybody too. All right, so let's go straight into business. Please let me know if you can see my screen.
Yes, we can.
All right. So, welcome to today's session on research and data collection. As you can see, I'm greeting you, with every slang that I have in me. Hello, hi. And please, I would want this class to be as interactive as possible. If I'm too fast, you let me know. If I'm too slow, you let me know. If you need clarification or anything, please don't keep it, you share. So, the objective of today's session is at the end of this training, it's I would expect that each civic champion would have an understanding of the importance of research in civic activities. Of course, understand the designing and conducting of surveys and how to facilitate focus group discussions. But before we go into our session, I want to take us through a soft skill session. Like I said, is lessons from life and work. So please, I would want to ask, can anybody name three things? Okay, maybe somebody would mention one, another person will mention another. So what are the three things that we all share in common? So who will go first?
Okay, I'd like to go further. Um, so on this platform, I think we are young persons, like a youthful age.
Okay, thank you. Next. Is anyone willing to go next? I want to hear another guess. Can you all hear me?
Pascal is raising his hands.
Oh, sorry, I can't see the screen because I'm fixated on my slide actually. Okay, Pascal, please.
All right. So I think belief is also something we share in common. It may
Believe.
be different kinds of belief now. Yeah, but then I think belief is something everybody share in common.
It's okay. The third one, Ruth, please, if anybody is raising their hand, let me know. The person can just speak.
All right, no.
So who wants to do a third guess before we proceed? Okay,
So
so
sorry.
think,
Is,
yeah,
okay, so is this I mean what we share in common, is it area specific or just what we share in common generally in life?
like I said this soft skill is about lesson from work and life. So generally in life, work culture, yeah. Okay, so not to waste our time, let me take us to the three things I want to talk about. So the first thing is we are all imperfect. That's one thing we share in common. And how do I know this? At one point in everybody's life, we've used an eraser before. True or false?
True.
Good. So that means none of, sorry?
I said very true.
Yeah. So that means none of us is all sufficient. So what am I driving at? Drop your shoulder, be more humble, be less critical about others' genuine weaknesses. The second one, we all have issues in our lives. And how do I know this? Your imperfection is enough. Imperfect you living among imperfect others cannot have a perfect life. So we all have one issues or the other in our lives. And so what am I driving out with this? In our dealings, let's realize everyone is struggling in some way, and a little more kindness makes life easier for us all. The third lesson, what we share in common. We all are ignorant in some areas because nobody knows it all. How do I know? At some point, at one point or the other, we've all been confused. We've trusted others more than ourselves on many things. And of course, some truth still surprises us. So that's to say, we're all ignorant in some areas. Nobody can know it all. So calm down, be kinder to those who don't know what you know. And of course, part of each and every one of us role here is to help share knowledge. So, a recap of what the three things we all share in common: we all are imperfect, we all have issues in our lives, we all are ignorant. So, that is the end of my soft skill session. I hope we found it useful, or even in our dealings, we'll find it useful,
Yeah.
right?
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. Uh,
So, let's proceed. So, research. What do we mean by the word research? Research is simply the process of gathering information to learn new things and understand topics better. Can I continue?
Yes.
All
Yes,
right.
ma.
So, this involves asking questions, collecting data, and analyzing the data to find answers and make informed decisions. So, why do we think research matters? In civic activities, it matters because it will help us to make informed, evidence based decision making. So it's not as if Pascal is sitting in his house and he's writing a report to say, oh, here in Nkanu local government, the youths, they are just not serious, and that's why they are not and that's why they are not interested in civic engagement. You're making that based on assumption. You've not gone to the field to interact. You've not asked anybody anything, and you just came up with that idea. That is not evidence-based decision making. But by the time you've gone to the field, you've asked questions, you've gathered your insights, you can now come back to say, from all these my findings, I can deduce that in the last election, we had low participation among youths because of past experiences, which has led to distrust of the government. Anybody that hears you say that will know that Gabriel is not speaking from assumption. He's not speaking from his head. For him to come up with something like this, meaning he has gone to the field, he has asked questions, he has gotten insight, and this is his deduction from it. So research in this situation will help you to make, even as an organization, it will help make evidence-based decision making. Also, it will help you to understand and identify the community needs in terms of civic engagement and participation, and of course, their priorities. This would also guide you in the course of your next step in carrying out your deliverables in the community. Then at the end of it, when you're done with your work, this research can help measure the impact and effectiveness of the civic programs in your community. Also, it will enhance advocacy and policy influence because you've gone to the field. You know, of course, the policymakers, they can't go to the field themselves to get the job done. But you have gone there on their behalf, you've gathered your information together, and you can present it to them to say, oh, dear Senator, so, in your constituency, this is what I found. This is what the information I gathered, and you can use this to actually influence so and so policy to ensure that in your tenure, the youths are actively engaged in civic activities and all that. So yeah, research can do that for you. So what are the benefits of you carrying out a research in your community? Number one, we have community insights. Like I said, it will help you understand the community perspectives and challenges. It could be that, oh, during election, the polling units was like 5 hours away from the community, and majority of the people there don't have transport to take themselves to vote. That's why we saw that low turnout. You know, you can only get this by the time you've gone in there to do your research. It will also help you to identify gaps in services and resources within the community. Also, in terms of program improvement, by the time you are giving feedback to Ruth, Ruth is cascading it to the relevant authorities. It can actually help to refine and adapt programs based on the data or the information you've generated from your community. Also, it will ensure that interventions are relevant and are effective. What do I mean by this? Let me cite another example. I visit a community and I observe that they fetch water from a particular river. I didn't talk to anybody. I didn't ask anybody. In my head, I'm like, borehole will be good for these people. Then I constructed the borehole. And say I come back to that community 1 year later, and since the day that borehole was commissioned, nobody, no soul went there to fetch water. Would you say my intervention was relevant and effective to them? No, because I didn't even ask. I didn't even know if they want the borehole. I just assumed that because they are using river water from the river, the next best thing after shawarma is borehole for them, and I went ahead. What I've done would be irrelevant and ineffective. I've not solved any of their problem. But of course, if I've done my research, I've gathered my information, I will want to know why they are still using that going to the river. I would want to know, okay, can we do like a form of water transfer, turn the river water, put it into an overhead tank, at least I'll have other ideas of what to do to actually help them. Yeah. So also, research brings about accountability and transparency. Please, Ruth, I can't see the screen. So if anybody has a question or raising their hand or anything, please just call my attention to it, okay? Thank you.
All right.
Yeah. So another benefit of research is accountability and transparency. It gives evidence of impact to your stakeholders because initially you've been there to do your research. Because you've been there to do your research. Excuse me, please. Somebody wants to see my face. All right. Okay. Please, can you still see my screen? All right. Okay. So by the time you've done your initial research and you've been able to we've been able to use the data to ensure that intervention is relevant and effective. By the time you are giving that evidence back to your donors, back to the people that are funding you, you're going with evidence of impact based on before, during your implementation, and the effect of what you've done. So they can see that, oh, Pascal has moved from point A to point D in the space of 6 months. Caroline has moved from intermediate to expert in the space of 9 months, because with your data is speaking to what you met on the ground, what you did, and the impact of what you did. So we can see that changes. We can say, oh yeah, we have something to attribute this impact to. And of course, it will build trust within the community, because I've been to that community, I've interacted with them, I've interfaced with them. They've briefed me on the particular issue. Okay, this is the challenges we faced. This is why we are experiencing civic apathy in our community. So that trust is already there. After getting that insight, I still go ahead to do my implementation, reaching out to youth within the community, creating awareness about the advantages of civic participation, making them see the importance of their involvement in civic engagement. That it will bring this familial experience, and it will build trust within the community, to build trust with the community. So moving on, we have different types of research methods. We have the quantitative methods and we have the qualitative methods. The quantitative, from the name, quantitative is speaking to quantity, while qualitative, it's speaking to quality. That's like in-depth insight. Qualitative is not bothered about numbers. It borders on the insight. It borders on the quality of discussion, the quality of feedback you're getting. And from example, under quantitative, you can see surveys. Survey, I can say, oh, how many people came out to vote? 20. That's quantitative. So, oh, 20 youths came out to vote in so and so LG. That's quantitative, quantity, and it could be through structured observations. Then we also have qualitative methods. This has to do with focus group discussions, where you and a certain number of people will sit and have like a heart to heart talk. You're getting insight, you're getting new information about civic engagement, civic activities. We also have interviews. We have the key informant interviews, we have the in-depth interviews, we have key influencers interviews, we have series of them like that. I wouldn't want to bore you too much, because you may not be needing all those for now. Then we also have case studies. Case studies is just like, okay, I can say the people in this meeting now, I want to do a case study on them. Of course, I can use your pre-test. I believe you took a pre-test. So I can use your pre-test and post-test, and also do like a feedback from survey, So the information that you've given me based on the questions I would actually come up with, I can say, oh, I can have an idea of the thought pattern of Pascal. I can have an idea of the thought pattern of Victoria. You understand? So that is a case study. All right. So we're moving on to, okay, on research. Do we have any question, or do you need any clarification on anything before we move to designing and conducting surveys? Are we good? So I'll take our silence as a yes.
Yeah, yes, good.
Sorry?
said you can go on, man. Like, I'm not everything but
Okay, okay. Thank you for that. So, designing and conducting surveys. Let's understand the purpose of surveys. It's to collect quantitative data from a large population. Of course, to also measure opinions, behaviors, and characteristics. That's the purpose of surveys because you these are the things that will actually give you insight to make you see what you cannot see at face value. And what are the steps to
So,
design
can you come back again? Like, what are the purposes?
the purposes?
Yes.
Yeah, I said the first one is to collect quantitative data from a large
Okay.
population.
Okay.
And of course, the second one, I said to measure opinions, behaviors, and characteristics. Because in the course of the survey, it's actually giving you an insight into um, why this thing is like this. In the course of, okay, let's assume if you have an in depth interview with me, at the end of the day, you can be able to deduce my thought patterns, you can be able to deduce my belief. And these are the things that you cannot see at face value. You understand it now?
Yes, ma. Thank you.
All right. Okay, so what are the steps to design a survey? Before you can design the survey, you have to know the objective. Like, what do you want to achieve with this survey? So we can say, okay, the civic champions are going into the community to go and administer questionnaires to understand the perception of youth, to know the awareness amongst the youth about civic engagement, about civic activities, or to have a perception of what the youth think about their representatives. With that in mind, I will say, okay, who are my target audience? Who are the target population? We've been saying youth, 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 youth. So that means my target population will be the youths. Since I've defined the objective, it will guide me to develop my survey questions. We cannot be talking about trying to understand the perception of youths as per civic activities and civic engagement. And in the question, I'm developing a question and saying, what did you eat yesterday? What do you think about the cost of petroleum? You know, those are already off my objectives. So having an objective will actually guide you in developing your survey question. So by the time you develop your survey question, you now say, okay, which method is suitable or which method do I want to use to actually disseminate these survey questions and to gather my information. If I want to have a survey in Enugu and I'm here in Lagos, I know I cannot teleport to Enugu. The best thing for me to do would be online using Google Forms. For you in Enugu, you can say, oh, I'll do face to face because I want to be able to understand the body language. I want to take note of the body language of this person, their expression. You understand? Then I could say, okay, I can do phone call. Then I'll say, okay, I need 2 or 3 research assistants with me in this room. Distribute the numbers of the people I need information from, give them the questionnaire, start calling these people and ask them these questions and record their responses. I can say, okay, I want to do polls. You can do WhatsApp poll. That's if you have everybody you need in the same group, you know. You can do WhatsApp poll, you can use we also have another platform, the U Reporter poll, you know, it depends. So you can have polls. So polls is just like a way of voting. Let's put it that way. All in the favor of this one, say aye. Do you think? I'm sure you've come across questions like that, even in your pretest. How would you rate your knowledge of research, uh, intermediate, expert, this, that? That could also be a poll thing too. By the time we are getting the rest, five people said intermediate, two people said expert, you know. But before you deploy, always pilot test the survey. So I can say, okay, all of us in this room, please let me share my survey questions with you. Because I'm doing it through the Google form. So I'll share my Google form with you, go through it for me. If there's any place you think I'm making a mistake, call my attention to it so I can rectify. This is because by the time we've deployed to the field, it may be difficult rephrasing your questions because some may have administered that questionnaires to some people and you may not be able to trace them back for them to come and do another survey or to come and answer the questions for you. So that is why it is important that you pilot test to be sure that whatever you need is in there, it's been captured, the platform that you want to use is functioning effectively and everything would make it work seamlessly by the time you get to the field. Once you've done that and you're sure that, oh, everything is good to go, you have the okay sign, then you can distribute your survey questions. By the time you get your feedbacks, you can now analyze your data and make your decision, your inferral from there. So those are the steps to design a survey. So, in the course of this project, I think you have opportunity to lead focus group discussions. So I'll take us on focus group discussions. So, what do I mean by focus group discussion? It's just a structured conversation with a small group of people, usually between 6 to 10. Some people will tell you 6 to 12 people per session to gather in-depth information about their opinions, their beliefs, and their attitudes on a specific topic. So why do we have this limited number of persons per session? It's so that you as the facilitator, you will not be overwhelmed. Your interview room will not be too rowdy. At least if you have 6 to 10 people, you can still keep your eye on them, depending on your session arrangement. You can keep your eye on them, noting their body language, their expression, listening to to the information they are giving onto you. And if there's anybody that is even docile in the group, you will quickly pinpoint that person. Bukumi has not said anything for the past 30 minutes. And of course, you go on to probe to actually get her to talk because everybody's opinion matters when we're talking about focus group discussion. So that is why we usually have that small group of people for focus group discussions. So what's the purpose of focus group discussion? Is to collect qualitative data through group interaction. Qualitative data, quality, because this has to do with their beliefs, it has to do with their opinion, it has to do with their attitude regarding civic engagement, regarding civic participation, regarding civic apathy. So yeah, that is you collect qualitative data through this means. And of course, you are exploring attitudes, perception, and experiences. In the course of a focus group discussion, most people will be talking to you from the point of experience, while some will be giving you their perception of this, and some is attitude. That is why if you are conducting a focus group discussion, you have to be very observant. You can say something and somebody will just roll their eyes. You will see the person, I can be like, oh, I mentioned this, and you wrote that. Can you tell me why? And that person like, oh, I did that because of this, 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 this. So you're actually getting insight into their attitude. Why the person gave you that attitude when you mention the topic. So with focus group discussion, you are exploring attitude, perceptions, and experiences. And to prepare for focus group discussion, as always, your objective matters. You need to know the objective. You need to know why you are having this focus group discussion. You cannot just call people and start a discussion around nothing, just generic. You have to prepare ahead for this is what I want to achieve out of my focus group discussion session. And these are the key topics that we'll be dealing with that we'll talk about. Select your diverse population. What does this mean? In this situation, we are dealing with youths. You can say, okay, I want a mixture of male and female. I want um, 15 to 19, 19 to, I'm sorry, 20 to 24, a representative from 25 to 30, and of course, representative from 30 and above. I want them. So at different stages of life, you are having that insight because what a 24-year-old may tell you about civic activities will differ from what a 19-year-old will tell you. You know, I'm just citing an example. So you want to grasp everything possible from every angle. So you must have diverse participants in there. And of course, your objective, you can use your objective to determine the type of participants you want. Meaning, in your focus group discussion, you are not just saying, I want to have focus group discussion. Yeah, go and bring grandpa from Chukwemeka compound. Go and bring the grandmother from so. You know, just bringing in people. And that fish seller there should be able to tell me something. This one there be able to tell me something. At the end of the day, they are not your target group. What you will get from them may not be relevant to your target group. And at the end of the day, you've not achieved anything. Your objectives will also be something that will guide you into your selection of participants. Developed a discussion guide. A discussion guide, a discussion guide is just to help such that you don't go off tangent when you are discussing. So, and of course, you don't go above the allotted will help you to work with time. It will also guide you to say, okay, this is the in a focus group discussion, you ask this first question, followed by this, you know. So it's just like a schedule to walk you through your activity in a focus group discussion exercise. Then of course you have the venue, the materials you're going to use, the recording tools that you're using. It could be your phone, you could have a recording pen, you could have your laptop or something, whatever you want to use. Make sure your location, your materials, and everything is set before people start coming in and your discussion begins. Okay, so yeah, to know what has been taught so far. Hello?
Hello, I said that we can ask question of from what is taught so far. Your voice was working.
Yes. Wait till
Okay, okay. So I have a question on the can you hear me? Can you hear me? Hello, ma. Hello, can you hear?
Gabriel, go ahead. We
Gabriel,
can hear you.
Okay. My question is this on data reliability. So how can one really, because sometimes when you want to when you're making research, persons may like to give from bias perspective or want to just answer it so that just how do you know whether this
so
data they are
I
getting them?
can you come again? Your line is a bit it's not too clear. I
Can
didn't
you hear
get the
me
question.
now?
Yes, I
Okay,
can hear you now.
my on data reliability,
Reliability.
the quality
Okay.
of, yes, the quality of the one is getting. How will one be able to ascertain the quality of, because sometimes they give you information on data based on bias perspective and all that, or just tell you something so that you just leave them and go.
Okay.
Or is
I'll
there every
still talk
data, is
about
there every
that.
data that you get that you use it? Okay, all right.
I'll still get to that, but let me just answer you ahead. This is where your probing ability comes in,
Mm,
but we'll still get there.
beautiful. All right.
Yeah, but okay, I have one rule when it comes to qualitative researches. I don't exhaust my why. So if you tell me um, I ate rice today, oh, nice. Why? Because I was hungry. Really? Why is that? Why haven't you eaten? Or why did you wait till that late hour to eat? You give another response. And and as you're asking your why, always make sure you link it to the initial question. It's because you actually want to verify what the person has told you. So that is what it means by
Mm,
probe, probe, probe. But we'll still get
mm.
there.
Thank you so much. No problem.
Yeah. Okay, so Charity, I think it's only Pascal is no longer here, is he? Pascal and Victoria, they are off the call already.
No,
Are they?
Pascal is here.
Oh, oh, okay, okay,
Actively
okay,
available.
okay. So you people have
I
been
still have
quiet.
questions.
Sorry?
Okay, I have questions, but I think I'll wait till the end because some of the questions I have, your next slide tend to answer some of them. So I believe these
Okay.
ones remaining, some of the slides will still answer them.
Okay, so let's proceed. And as we proceed, kindly note down your questions so that you don't forget. Thank you. So let's go back to class. Okay, so let's talk about the composition of a focus group discussion. In an ideal setting for focus group discussion, it has to be a teamwork. We must have a facilitator, a note taker, and of course, an observer. Remember, I said focus group discussion. You're looking for you're looking out for attitude, expression, behaviors, And in the course of facilitating, you may miss out on that. That is why you have your observer. You cannot be facilitating. It's just like the way I'm facilitating this session. I also have my pen and paper trying to write. I will miss out on so many details. So that is why it is important that to facilitate a focus group discussion, you should have a facilitator, a note taker, and an observer. And what are their duties? Like I said, the note taker, from the name, the person takes notes and also observes. The observer, the observer observes exchange happening between participants, both the verbal and the non-verbal cues, and you document. And thank God we grew up in African homes where your mother will just wink at you. You already know what she's trying to tell you, you know, or you're doing something and your dad just give you corner eye. You already know what he's trying to say. He's trying to say stop, or you feel you'll be punished for it. So yeah, that same attitude, you take it to your focus group discussion. You're looking out for both the verbal and the non-verbal cues to say, this means this means this. You pick on it and you also probe with it. And of course, and you're actually documenting, and by the time you are documenting, oh, at the mention of civic apathy, Bukumi started laughing. You can actually note that in your documentation. It is allowed. Then the facilitator takes the lead in asking questions so that we will not have a chaotic room. Because if you leave everybody to do as they wish, you may be talking about civic engagement and participation, civic activities and all. Because there is nobody taking the lead, somebody can chip in cost of transportation from point A to point B. And before you know, the tone of the conversation will change. So that is why it is essential that we have a facilitator, and that is the person that takes the lead in terms of questioning. And please, let's note that the facilitator takes the lead in the interview. However, the observer and the note taker can chip in questions that is needed to bring clarity to a particular answer given by the respondent. Like I said, as an observer, maybe the facilitator asks, Bukumi, did you vote at the last presidential election? And I went, I've given a cue. As if the observer has noted that, the next thing will be, oh, Bukumi, you sighed. Can you tell us why? Then I'm like, hey, that last election, eh? Then I'll give all the stories that I want to give with the information in it. Definitely something is coming out. Or you say, will you vote in the 2027 election? And I'll be like, that is an expression. That is a body language which should not be allowed to slide. So, as an observer, or even if it's the note taker that observed it, you can just chip it in. Oh, when the facilitator was talking about voting in the 2027 election, you did the God forbid sign. Why? Then I'll tell you why. Oh, my last experience was not it at all. And I don't want to experience such again. So please, I'm removing my hand in anything that has to do with election. You already have an insight to why I acted the way I did. So, in as much as the facilitator is leading, the observer and the note taker can chip in questions for clarification once in a while due to feedback. It could be verbal or no feedback of a respondent. So, what is the goal of the facilitator? As a facilitator of a FGD, your goal is to influence the team, that's the people you're discussing with, to think critically, to ask vital questions, and arrive at a solution or outcome. Then you are to properly manage your group, because a well-managed group will give you deeper insights to the minds of your audience. If everywhere is chaotic, you can't get if you may get insights, but it may not be as detailed as when you have a properly managed group. And again, that points to why there's a certain number of persons you must have in your group for focused discussion. Okay, so while facilitating your focus group discussion, number one, you have to set your ground rules. You have to maintain proper sitting arrangement. Proper sitting arrangement so that it depends on where you're using. If it's gonna be longitudinal, like a boardroom setting, you should be at the head of it such that you can see everybody to the right, to the left, at the other end. You're seeing everybody such that you can read their expression. You can see who is docile and who is very active, So you have to maintain a proper sitting arrangement. Then always maintain eye contact with the person talking, because if you're talking to somebody or if somebody is talking to you and probably you're pressing your phone, you are trying to tell the person, I have no interest in what you're saying. There is no, even if the person has the intent of bearing it all to you, that singular act will just kill the morale. Or the person is talking to you and you are busy looking at somewhere else. It's a sign of I'm distracted, I'm not listening to you. So always maintain eye contact with your speaker. That's your respondent, the person responding at that point. It makes them feel engaged. And then, of course, you keep the energy level consistently high throughout the discussion. What do we mean by this? Is make sure that you are able to read the room when your respondents or your participants are getting bored. You know to tweak it a little to up their energy such that you can get the best out of them. And of course, probe, probe, probe. That's why I said you need to keep asking why. Because by the time you're asking why, it's validating the data you've been given, which will bring about its accuracy, the consistency, and its reliability. So imagine now, you ask me, oh, do you know the person representing your constituency? And I go like, oh yeah, I know the person, Ruth. Her name is Ruth. When last did you meet with her? I met with her last week. Oh, for what? Why did you meet with her last week? I thought it was supposed to be a monthly basis thing towards the end of the month and all that. And I go like, oh, I'm so sorry. I meant to say I met with her last month. You've already validated my first response. But if you had left it at, immediately I said last week, you left it there, you didn't probe, you didn't ask any open-ended questions to just keep me going, you know, I already have a wrong information. You already have a wrong information. Your information won't be reliable because it's not speaking to what it ought to be. So once somebody, once you pose a question and an answer is given, you bring up a follow-on question to actually give you a deeper insight and also to validate what the person has said. Then always guide the discussion and listen actively. If you don't guide your discussion, that's why I gave an example of we are here to talk about civic engagement. And along the line, somebody just remembered the story from 1522 that is not even related to what you're talking about, though, and chipped it in. And before you know, another person like, oh yeah, that's true. My grandfather told me the same story. Gradually, we are deviating from our reason for coming together. So it's up to you as the facilitator to guide the discussion back to your main objective. So always listen actively and guide the discussion. If not, people tend to deviate, and before you know, it will just be a wasted effort and a wasted time. And of course, you have to be ready to adapt. So let's assume I say, okay, we are meeting at the secondary school close to Igwe's Palace. And my respondents, all of them say, "Ah, I don't think we are comfortable sitting there. That place is too open. We are not coming there, except but we've spoken to the chief. The chief is giving us his compound to sit and have this discussion. Because you have prepared your mind to say, okay, it's going to be a classroom setting. We are using so class, so I'll sit like this, I'll do this. And they are now saying, no, if it's not that classroom, I'm not following you people. No. You have to be ready to adapt. Then the most important thing is time management. Always keep to time so that your group will not lose interest. If your session is too long, at the end of the day, everybody will just sit and be saying, when this thing will finish, please, I want to go home. My baby is crying. I want to go and cook. I have to run to work. You get excuses, and before you know, everybody may start discussing. So you have to master the act of time management in your course of focus group discussion. So while facilitating a focus group discussion, allow the participants to discuss. Allow them to ask additional questions from each other. And of course, move the conversation when needed. If they've dwelled on it, but you've asked a question and they've dwelled on it for too long and nothing new is coming, again, guide your conversation and move it to the next question. Promote maximization of participation by speaking less during a session. You are facilitating, you want to get their insights, you want to get their opinion. You shouldn't be doing much of the talking. Once you've asked your question, they should be doing the talking while you gather your insights, gather your information and everything. And of course, always ask participants some specific questions. Then ensure that you do not contribute to the conversation in such a way that will influence their opinion or bias their answer. Then, of course, like when we started this session, Ruth came up with an icebreaker. Yes, have an icebreaker. Create a platform for participants to be able to freely express themselves during the discussion. If you notice that the tempo is dropping, you can say, okay, let's do fun facts. Tell me something interesting about yourself. What is your favorite meal? Just maybe for a minute or two, you can do that. Then you guide your discussion back to the focus and you pick it up from there. So that has served as an energizer. Everybody is up and doing. Then you guide it back to your discussion, guide it back to your question, and of course, you continue getting the information you need. And a simple why do you think so? Or why do you think that can go a long way in opening up a conversation? Gabriel, that's why I said why, why, why. So if some persons give you um a response like I could not vote the last time because my mother did not allow me, then you can say, oh, interesting. Why would she do that? Then she'll be able to tell you this. What led to it? You can say, why? Why did that even happen in the first instance? It's because the police is corrupt now. This you get it. That way, you're getting insight, you're getting insight, you're getting insight, you're getting insight, and of course, You keep your conversation going. And also make sure that everyone in the group has a chance to be heard. That's because in a group, you can actually see a docile member. And that's because that person may be feeling, well, I don't have the autonomy or the authority to speak up. So let me just sit and watch them do the talking. Somebody that is supposed to be participating in your discussion is now the observer. So that means we now have two observers, which ought not to be, right? So if you observe that somebody, a particular person, excuse me, sorry. So if you observe that a particular person has not said anything since you started your discussion, of course, in the course of discussion, you get to know their name. You can say, Caroline, I've not heard your voice. I want to hear your voice. I know you have a lovely voice. So, what do you think about this? You are directing it to her. You've prompted her to speak up. Even if she had this feeling of, I don't have the authority. All these people, they are more, all these people, they have more words to speak, they know what to say more than me. But because you've actually directed it to her, she may have more insight or more perspective even than the people that's been talking since. So that is why you cannot leave somebody quiet in your group during your discussion. Excuse me, please. Continually, so, thank you for that response. What do you think, or why do you do this? By the time, okay, okay, thank you for that response. I appreciate it. I appreciate your time. Just be chipping in. Let them know that you appreciate their time. Let them know that you value their presence in your group. So yeah, you thank them from time to time as you are carrying out your session. So, what are the do's of facilitating a focus group discussion? Learn to ask open ended questions. Don't do yes or no. Open ended questions, questions that can make your participants open up. Any question like that has to do with, oh, so why do you think that happened? Of course, the person will can give even list up to 10 reasons why that situation is like that. So it's nothing like I'm fine. The person will keep quiet. Yes, you can't get any insight from responses like that. So ensure that your questions are open ended. If you hear something new, let your curiosity pick. So you probe to know more. You ask for examples if possible. Then feel free to change the order of questions. If someone brings up an answer that speaks to a later question, so that means even you need to have been familiar with your questions. So if in the course of speaking to question one, the response to question five comes in, you can go with the flow. So to save your time, by the time you ask question three, question four, I mean question two, question three, question four, you don't need to repeat question five again because it has been answered. You've already gotten your insights from it immediately you asked your question one. So yeah, you have to be familiar with your questions such that by the time your participants are giving you responses of another questions, you've already noted it that, oh, question five has been answered. By the time I get there, I'm skipping to question six just to save time. And if somebody gives a general answer, ask them to be specific or give example. So a general answer Now, I can say, I'm trying to come up with a suitable example, you know, that would require a general answer, and of course, you have to be specific now. So, fine. So somebody gets to ask me, Bukumi, where would you like to work? And I'm like, anywhere, you know, that is generic. What do you mean anywhere? Can you specify based on your skills? Then I cannot say, oh, mm, I'm very good with Excel. I'm good with some analytical tools. They can, okay, yeah, you can be a data analyst. If you get a job, it's sorry, as a data analyst, you function well, right? Oh, yeah, yeah. That is me being specific. But when I said anywhere, that's a general answer. So if you feel someone is giving you a general answer, you ask them to be specific. And in some situations, you tell them to give example. Then, if an opinion is shared by somebody in your group, check in with the others to know if they share the same. So let's assume I say, since Tinubu became the president, he has been doing well. It's just that Buhari left huge debts. So he has been struggling to manage the debt and of course to run the country. I just gave some useless sorry that I'm calling you useless. Like I just gave some reasons to justify my opinion. Then you cannot be like, oh, Victoria, do you think same way too? It's like, oh yeah, he's doing well. And I'm like, what about you, Caroline? What do you think? Just make sure that you check in with others to be sure that they share the same opinion. And if there's anybody that has a different opinion, the person can actually table it. But once somebody says, oh, this is it, this is it, and you just say, okay, fine, you just note it down, let's move on. You've not checked with others. You don't even know if they have other things to contribute to what I have said, to actually juxtapose my opinion, and all that, or to actually strengthen to say, oh, yeah, so that means this is it, yeah. So always share, when someone shares opinion, check in with the others in the group to know if they share the same or if they have a different opinion. So you can have, if they have different opinion, that is giving you variety. Then, of course, assure them that discussions are confidential and shouldn't be discussed outside the group, and their identity remains confidential. So one of the things we do in research is, um, by the time you are administering your questions, you kind of remove, you can come up with a unique identifier. Anything that would trace that an outsider will see and trace this particular answer to Bukumi will be removed in the course of analysis. So that is how research works. And for some people, they don't want outsiders to know their thoughts on a particular issue. So if you're assuring them that, yeah, whatever we discuss here stays here, it's just for me to get insight. It will make them feel safe. It will make them feel more relaxed so that they can open to you and discuss. Then, of course, keep praising and thanking everyone for their contribution. Like I said, oh, thank you for that input. That is actually a great idea. That's a great opinion. It's so good to hear from you that you say you understand. Just make them feel appreciated. Just like there's this adage in Yoruba that says, it's only the child that opens the arm that the father or mother can carry. You get it. So by the time you're actually making these people feel appreciated, they feel the need to open up to you more, and you'll be able to gather more insights even beyond what you initially came for. And you can say, oh, this is a new learning for me because I learned this in the course of my discussion with so group of people. So don't ask yes or no questions. Don't ask leading questions like, don't you think it will be better if our government can do this for us? You've already led your participants on. You've partially expressed your own point of view. So they can just piggy right on that. And in the course of it, they won't voice out their own answers to you. Another thing is you have to let me put it this way. You have to master your face card such that even when you hear shocking things, you don't react, because your reaction can influence their follow-on answers. So that's why I said you have to master your face card. So don't react positively, negatively. If the person is telling you what you think they should say, you should be like, when you are smiling and, oh yeah, this person will be like, oh yes, I'm giving the right information. No, don't react. Just be neutral. Have this neutral expression you get, so that your own reaction will not influence the feedback they will give you. Then don't ask double barrel questions, because people cannot answer two questions at once. So you take it one at a time. When your participants are giving you feedback, don't say, no, you are wrong. You just listen. Don't try to correct them. Just your own is just to listen. Listen actively and take note of their feedbacks. Take note of their opinions, their insights. Take note of that. Yours is not to say you are correct, you are wrong. No. You are just there to listen. Then don't pressure anyone to speak. Only encourage them. Bukumi, you've not spoken since. You must talk. If you don't talk, we are not leaving this place today. You must speak. Oh. How can I ask a question and you not say anything? You must speak. You're pressuring her to say something. Rather, oh, Bukumi, you've been silent since the beginning of this discussion. Is there a problem? Okay, so what do you think about Ruth's opinion on civic apathy? What do you think about Caroline's answer to my last question? You've egged her on to say something rather than you must talk. If you don't talk, you're not leaving this place. I'm sure we can note the difference, right? So don't pressure anyone to speak, rather encourage them. Then never say we'll be talking about that later, not now. No. It is part of adaptation. When I said you must be willing, you must be ready to adapt. If in the course of discussing question one, the response to question five comes up, don't say, no, 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 we are not there yet, we are getting there. Just wait so that I will not lose track of. No, just go with the flow. Allow them talk. So you just take a mental note like, okay, question five is being dealt with here. When I get there, I'll jump and, and skip to the next question. And don't try to shut people down. Don't try to shut people down. Because if you shut people down, they may recoil into their shell and they will not say anything to you again till that session will end. So don't shut people down. What nonsense are you saying there? No. Like I said, maintain your face card and let everybody express themselves. That's why it is called a discussion. We are talking. Let them express themselves freely. Let them express their opinion. Let them give you their perspective and let them do it freely. So we're moving on to data collection. Oh, my time, but okay, I'm rounding up. So we're moving on to data collection and data types. Data collection is just big English. It's just a process of gathering information to analyze and, of course, to make a decision. And it can be categorized into two. We have the primary method. Primary method is hearing from the horse's mouth, from your target audience. Then we have the secondary methods. Secondary method is me going online, going to look for journals, newspaper, books that have dealt with civic apathy before and drawing my inferral from there. So when you're dealing with primary methods, that's when we have the quantitative and the qualitative because I'm dealing one-on-one with the target group. Uh-oh. Okay. So for quantitative, I already explained it before. I said quantitative from the name quantity. It's information that specifies a number or quantity. Example, 96% of youths in Enugu South did not participate in the last presidential election. That's speaking to quantity. Then coming to qualitative, it's information that does not use numbers. You are measuring something in relation to its quality. So you can say civic apathy in Enugu State can be attributed to distrust in government due to past experiences. That is qualitative. That's because you already have an insight into why it is like that. So that's why I can come to this conclusion. Okay, so what are the basic principles of data collection in humanitarian context? So we have three basic principles that are relevant to ethics of data collection involving human participants. And number one, we have respect. You have to respect your participants. It doesn't matter if you are older than them, your head is filled with gray hair, and this person is just a bubbly, bubbly Gen Z. It doesn't matter. You have to respect the person. Do no harm and do not discriminate. So, what is research ethics? What does ethics mean to you? Because of time, let me just answer it straight up. Ethics is a system of moral principles. They affect how people make decisions and lead their life. Ethics is a moral discipline concerned with what is morally good or bad and what is morally right or wrong. So that is ethics. So ethical consideration in research, they are essential to any form of data collection. Collecting information for any purpose, including monitoring, assessment, or surveys, can put people at risk simply by participation or because of the sensitive nature of the information. It can put people at risk. The risk can range from physical violence. Oh, why did you respond to those people? Don't you know they came from the government? And you are not there, but the person is really receiving slaps here and there. It ranges from physical violence to social marginalization and are often unknown to the individual soliciting the information. That means you soliciting that information, you don't know about what this person will face for speaking to you. So that's why we usually give ethical consideration. The person involved in information collection, which is you and I, we are obligated, it's your obligation to protect the rights of the individuals or group involved in this process as your participants. So, in the course of your interview, it is your obligation to protect their rights. In the course of the brief period they will be meeting with you, it is your obligation to protect their rights. So, the what are the best practices? quality, reliability, and credibility should never be compromised. So you have to abide by the professional ethics standards and regulation. So if you are conducting a research, explain the reason for the interview, and please always tell them the duration. I just need like, oh, my name is Oluwabukuyobadeyi. I'm here to conduct a research to actually understand the reason for civic apathy in social community, and I just need your attention for the next 30 to 45 minutes. Participants are to know that they can change their mind during the interview. Let them know I'm not coercing you to speak. If I ask you any question that you don't feel comfortable with, feel free to end the interview. Always get informed consent. Ensure your participant agrees to that interview before you proceed. Ensure confidentiality and anonymity. And of course, again, respect for participants. So, what is bias and why should I care? Bias is anything that comes from the interviewer or the questionnaire, other than sampling error, that causes the result of the survey to differ from the actual population. And what are some of these actions? We have the selection bias. So it could be as a result of faulty sampling. You were told to interview or to have a focus group discussion with youths aged 18 to 35, but you brought in people, somebody age 50, another one age 45, you know, you've already brought in, you've introduced the bias to it because you did not follow the proper respondent selection method. So it could be information bias, which is as a result of faulty data collection. And this could be attributed to your poor use of language, not asking questions properly. There are sometimes that when they give us questions, questionnaires to go to the field, you can just look at it, then you interpret it in your own head and present it to your participants. And in that process, you've already interchanged what the question is seeking unknowingly. So we have information bias. Then we have recall bias. This is as a result of faulty memory of respondents. So I can say, oh, did you engage with the community stakeholder last week? And she says yes. Meanwhile, she wanted to say last month. So this kind of bias can happen. What can we do about these biases? Can we do something about them? Oh, yes. So the team can take simple steps to ensure bias is minimized. However, that's why I said minimized. There will always be a little atom of bias. So for solving bias, the only thing is ensure you follow to the latter, the research methodology that you're given. If you are to recruit respondents between age 18 to 35, don't say because I want 10 and I'm only getting 7 persons that falls into this age category. The next thing is, oh yeah, you bring in somebody that is age 80, another person that is age 16. No, follow the methodology. If you are only able to gather 7 out of 10, go ahead with that 7 out of 10. At least you know that you are following the guidelines. Information bias. So it has to be in preparation. If you've emphasized that, okay, I'm going into a community where the English may not be too good, familiarize yourself with your questionnaire, translate it in the local dialects. That's why it is also good that if you're going to a particular location, understand the local dialect. If possible, you can even get help from people around. Familiarize yourself with the question and the language which you want you to administer it before you go to the field. Then, of course, you have to be, in terms of recall bias, you have to be creative and ask questions in more way than one. Oh, so like the question of saying, I engaged with my community stakeholder last week. And meanwhile, I wanted to say last month. Like, last week, when exactly? Then the person goes, um, that should be around June 22. And I'm like, but you said last week. So that means oh yeah, apologies. I mean to say last month. So you just have to be creative, come up with other ways to actually probe, to validate your initial response. If you ask me now, how old are you? And I go, oh, I'm 18 years. So you can be like, okay, so what is your date of birth? And I go, yeah, I was born in 1996. You already know that this information is not reliable because I said I'm 18 and I was born in 1996. You cannot be like, oh, 1996. If you're born in 1996, that means you are 28 years old. Oh yeah, I wanted to say 28, not 18. You get, so always have a creative way to ask your questions. Always ask questions in more ways than one to validate initial response. Oh, yeah. So we have come to the end of the session. I was targeting 11:40 to finish up, and yeah. So we have come to the end of the session, and I'm opening the floor for questions. At least let's use the remaining 23 minutes to attend to questions and, of course, clarification and all. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Fuluwa Bukumi. This was a very insightful section. And I would say that you really tutored us on focus group discussion because this is one major thing we're going to be doing, especially as regards this project. So thank you so much. We gained a whole lot during the process of your teaching on the need to be respectful, not to do harm, and not to discriminate, especially during the process of our data collection. So thank you so much. I strongly believe that the civic champions may have questions or comments. So the floor is open for questions or comments. Thank you.
But can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
All right. Thank you so much, Ma. What an erudite rendition. I learned a lot, to be honest. Thank you so much. I was going to ask you a question on ethical consideration. I mean, sometimes some persons will not like to speak, maybe based on like this program now. They may think, okay, this is not too sensitive for them. They don't have anything to do with politics or engagement and all those stuff. But you're able to address that, and then the issue of confidentiality and all that, you're able to address that. So I want to ask though, in a situation whereby you have a target audience to carry out a research on, and then you're not getting access to them. I mean, are you still going to, will you use other persons or you still wait or something? Like there's a particular audience that you need to get you want to make the research on, but you have getting the target audience. What will you do?
Okay. You know that for you to be having a focus group discussion, you already have a particular target group in mind. So, in the course of your focus group discussion, if you are not getting your target audience, you cannot change the target audience. So, it's just as if you're implementing for youth, but because the youths are not willing or are not readily available, you decided to go for adolescents. What suits adolescents may not suit the youth. So you won't be getting the correct insights you need to get. So in situations like that, in situations like, okay, for your focus group discussion, maybe one thing I should note or bring out to you is, in all the focus group discussion that I've actually um, worked on, we always ensure, I always ensure that I bring in the key persons that can mobilize this group of people for me. I would have identified a key person in that community, you, because the person knows where to get these people. The person knows how to get these people. I worked on the project, HIV project, and I had to interface with the key populations. I don't know where to get these people.
We can't hear you, ma. Can anyone hear me?
Yes, I can hear you, ma. I can hear you.
Okay, I'm thinking that our
Yes,
facilitator
ma,
might
we
be
can hear you.
having a little bit of a network issue. Oh, let's see if she's gonna reconnect.
Hello?
We can hear you now. We can hear you.
Okay, sorry for that internet glitch. Please, what was the last thing you heard me say?
You said
You
you
said you're
carried
working
out
on a
a
project HIV related.
Yeah. So I was involved in HIV related implementation where we're supposed to meet with the key populations. And of course, I don't know if you're familiar with the key populations, but part of the key populations has to do with female sex workers, people who inject drugs, men who sleep with men. So imagine me going to the field, and these are the people I'm supposed to interface with. I wouldn't know where to get them. So, in the course of focus group discussion, identify a key person in the community, identify a key person amongst your target audience. Let that person do your mobilization for you. You are not the one to be going to the street to say, yes, please, I want to talk to you. Auntie, please, I want to talk to you. Auntie, please, I want to see you. Uncle, please, can you join my focus group discussion? No. Once you're able to identify that key person, that is the person that will do your mobilization for you. I hope that answers your question.
Thank you. Yes, yes, ma. Thank you so
Oh,
much.
all right, thank you. Any other
Any other
question?
question?
Yes. Oh, so good morning, everyone. Thank you so much, ma, for that interesting presentation. I'm sorry I couldn't speak earlier. I was in a noisy environment. So my question is this: you mentioned something about the cost of asking somebody a question. You are free to tell them. You are supposed to tell them that they are free to stop speaking at any moment in time. So my question is this: if you're asking somebody for question, if you're questioning somebody and halfway into it and they say, "Oh, I'm not comfortable answering," do you go ahead with the data they've provided already, or do you just cancel them out and start afresh with a new person?
It depends
I don't
on
know if
how
you
far
understand.
you. Okay, I understand you.
Okay.
You don't tell. Okay, so before you start your interview, All these things it's already in your interview guide. As you are introducing yourself, telling them what your interview is about and all that, that's where you just chip it in. Oh, if in the course of this interview, if you feel you'll not be comfortable answering some questions, it's fine. You can notify me. So peradventure, the first question you asked, and she says, "Ah, I don't think I want to answer this." You end the interview and you start afresh on that person. If you've gone deep into the interview and probably you're almost done and just a few questions to go and this person refuses to respond, you can end it there. At least you've had few insights into the previous questions answered. So like I said, it depends on how far you've gone in the course of your interview. But another thing I can assure you
Okay,
is,
thank you so much.
what did you say?
No, I thought you were done. Please go ahead.
Oh, okay, okay. All right. So because I've had these instances before. If the person tells you, I don't want to answer this, you have to know why. Most of the reasons why people will tell you they don't want to answer a particular question from experience is the fear of that breach in confidentiality. That's mostly the case. While somebody will be like, "Ah, I don't want," because it's basically, I don't want this response traced back to me. So if it's, I don't think I want to answer this question, or I'm not even going to answer this question, try to probe why. If she tells you, if he gives you a reason and it is something within your jurisdiction, is about confidential, oh, just be rest assured that your response your response will stay between the both of us. Your confidentiality, your anonymity is guaranteed. No third party will know what we've discussed in this circle. Try to allay their fears, because the participant wanting to end that conversation is because a fear crops up somewhere. So try and understand the background. Try and know the reason behind that fear and allay the fears. Most times they will answer your question and they will tell you to continue.
Okay, thank you so much, ma'am.
Yeah.
All right. Is there any other question? Pascal, Caroline,
Yeah,
do you have
Pascal has a
questions?
question. His hand is up.
Okay, thank you very, very much for your commitment, in facilitating this session from the beginning till now. It's a lot of learning for me. My first concern now is that I've been thrown out on a couple of times, and the very last
Uh-oh.
one was long enough before I could log in. So I don't know, I've missed on a couple of things. I would plead or solicit that, we get access to maybe the slides used for the presentation. That will help me to deepen the learning. Again, I have a number of questions I want to ask. So I don't know if I should just take them one, you respond, then I ask the next one. Or I ask everything. If you be able to note them down, then you will not answer once. I don't know.
Please, let's take it one at a time. So I don't get to forget anyone.
Okay, it's all right. So I'll ask two once because they are related. So
Okay.
first is when you mentioned the survey under quantitative analysis method, I want to know the maximum number of persons that a survey would have sampled, and you will say, oh, this survey is good. Should you say 100 persons? If you carry out a survey sample on 100 person, will you say, oh, it's well distributed, this survey is good. It can be used. The data or information collected from the survey can be used, and it's good enough to produce the required results. And then the follow up to that now is the discussion group of 6. Assuming I'm able to, assemble a discussion group of 6, how many 6 do I need to hold on a particular subject matter? And then I can say, yes, the information I've collected from first discussion with these people, 6, another discussion with another group, the same 6 people, and maybe a third group of 6. That gives me like 18 persons. Can I say 18 persons response in a discussion group is good enough to take decision on? I think that would be my first question. I still have others.
Okay, thank you for that. So for any survey that you want to do, there must be a target. If you don't have a target, it's as good as a headless chicken. So for you to be able to ascertain that the feedback I've gotten so far is good enough, it has to do with your target. So like we had a survey recently and the target was 1000 reaching out to 1500 youths or getting responses from 1500 youths. At the end of the day, we did 1658, I think. That's a very good one. But of course, we had a target. If at the end of the day, only 500 and say 60 responses came, did I meet my target? Can I call that a good survey? No, because I didn't even do up to half. Looking that I have a target of 1005. So it depends on the target that you have. There must be a target for every project. There must be a target for every survey you want to carry out. So it depends on the target given to you. So if you, as a group, remember you cannot facilitate a focus group discussion alone. So if the three of you have 3 persons in your group and you are to reach 30 persons, that's to tell you that you are facilitating. It depends. If you don't want to do, like I said, a focus group discussion, you can have 6 to 10 persons at once. So if your 30 respondents are on ground, you can schedule them to say, okay, and you are confident that you will be able to get their accurate expression, get their feedback, you'll be able to manage them effectively. You can say, fine, I'm sharing them into 10-10. That's group of 3. So that means you're doing your focus group discussion 3 times. If you say, okay, because we want more insights, because I want participation from everybody, let's do 6-6, because 6 is a lesser crowd to manage. That means you are dividing them into 5 groups. You're having 5 focus group discussion sessions. So it depends on the target given. Is your target that will determine if your quantitative survey is good enough or not. Is your target that will determine if the number of persons reached is good enough or not. So there will always be a target to work with.
Okay, sorry if I'm asking too many questions,
Oh,
but
no,
then
no,
it's
no,
just
no.
it's all
It's
right.
fine.
So somehow subjectively, I want to know, just like you said, we can have 6 to 10.
Yes.
That makes it have something that is widely acceptable. Because why I'm saying this now is that my target on an issue could still be a different thing for you when you look at the same issue. So I may have a target on an issue and I will say, okay, fine. If I get a response from 500 persons, it could be good enough for me. But from your own professional
Mm.
point of view, you could look at it and say 500 responses cannot really sample this opinion properly. So is there still like maybe something like a 6 to 10 in this regard now that can say, oh, for any subjective issue, if you don't get, say, 500 to 1,000 responses, for example, could give a well-distributed response and you could make informed decision from that. Is there something of that nature? Or you can just determine by yourself, look at the issue on ground, and then determine how many responses you would want to get.
Okay, so if you're working for a project, or if you want to carry out a research activity for a project, if the project is telling you we are reaching 500 persons, it's because they've looked at it holistically. Like if we want to have the genuine insight, if we want to have a robust information, we are to work with 500 participants. So that is why they are telling you we need to work with 500 participants. So you cannot on your own sit to say, I think 300 will do it. The project executives or the project leads already sat down, they've actually thought it through before they came up with that idea. So it's good for you to just follow through with the instruction you've been given.
Okay, thank you so much. I don't know if I'm still free to ask another question.
You are free.
Okay. So regarding the confidentiality now,
Yeah.
when you mentioned some of the materials that could be needed, you said maybe a phone, cell phone can be one of the materials. I mean, we're recording now. So
Yes.
if you tell somebody the information is supplying is confidential and you are recording the person with camera still, I don't know if that person will feel very comfortable, still sitting before the camera and he's being assured that the information is confidential. Certainly, you would need to use what you've collected in analysis, because I was also going to ask what next after you've collected the data, how do you analyze? So if
Okay.
somebody who needs that data, or who the data is meant for, who you're going to push the data to, would have access to the video. Of course, you've breached the confidentiality aspect of it. So I don't know if there's a way around some of these things now.
Maybe I didn't make myself clear. In focus group discussion, we are not doing video. You are using that phone as a sound recorder because you may need to transcribe when writing your report. That's because, and what's the essence of recording? So that if your note taker or observer misses out an information, by the time you go through, I mean, or you listen to that conversation again, you can say, oh, this is the vital thing that is missing. But mostly in the case where you have the facilitator, the note taker, and the observer, voice recorders are mostly not used. Voice recorders are mostly used when probably you have just two persons, or maybe it's even just you that is facilitating the process. You cannot be facilitating while writing at the same time. So the best thing is to use a voice recorder. And if that is going to be used, it will be stated by the organization that for this exercise, you will need a sound recorder. And most of the time, you will be provided with a midget. A midget is a recording device, so that in your own leisure, you can now listen to it and transcribe what your respondent has said. So no, you are not doing video, please. It's just a sound recorder.
All
And
right,
before
thank
you
you
even
very
use that
much.
sound recorder, before you even use that sound recorder, remember credibility matters. You will still tell them, oh, so that I will not miss out any information, I will be recording this conversation so that I can revisit it and bring out my salient points from it. You let them know. Always be open.
Okay.
Yes. So no, you are not doing a video recording, please. It's the sound, because it's what they are saying that you want to listen to so that you can transcribe it later.
Beautiful. Okay. Just one last one. When you
Okay.
mentioned the three persons who they needed on this team, the facilitator is there, then the observer is there, and then the note taker.
And the note taker, yes.
Yeah. So for this observer now, you also mentioned they could observe expressions and then, try to retort what ascertain what the person means by that expression. And for me, I'm just perceiving little threats in that regard. If an observer, except if there's a way to approach it. So if an observer notices my expression and he picks up on it, and then some other person expresses, he picks up on it, by the time he does that up to 3 times or 4 times, then the panel would have noticed that he picks on observations. So they will be very conscious not to even express the sorry, to make the expression, or to try to provide any sidelining answer each time he picks the expression and wants to get more information. So he makes them now conscious of the way they express their views. I don't know, but it's something that I feel could happen if
Okay.
this observer again doesn't approach this well. I don't know if there is a way this observer does it such that the panel does not notice he's actually picking on observation. but then they may think he's just trying to expand on what they've said or something. But if he's just speaking on observations, they will notice and they will just form some level of rigidity to it.
Okay. You know, in the course of your interview, the first thing you have to do is to make your participant feel at ease. So, in the case a question like, "Oh, do you like eating eba?" and I go like this, that's God forbid, to fiakwa. And the observer like, "Eh, Bokumi, you said to fiakwa. Why did you say that?" There must be a reason for me to have said that. There must be a reason for me to have reacted that way. So it's okay to pick on that. And before you proceed with any interview, ensure that you make your participants feel at ease. Ensure you make them relax. So that is the essence of you telling them, "Oh, whatever you say to me stays here." You know, it's just reassure them first before you proceed. And of course, whatever questions that you'll be administering, it won't be questions that will be endangering, let's put it that way, to the point that I would not want to express myself. We are actually discussing, we are getting an insight. If they know the importance or the reason why you want to get that insight, they will be more open. They won't see the need to say, "Oh, because this person picked on my reaction, I'm not going to react again." You know, and like I said, picking on that observation, I mean, picking on that their expression is just to open more room for them to express themselves.
It's all right. Thank you very, very much. Thank you so much.
You're welcome. Any other question?
Okay, from my end, no. Apart from now, knowing how to, organize this report, which I don't think is called. I just checked the topic again. So the topic stopped at data collection. The analysis of the data now wasn't included there. So that's why I didn't put it out, but I just did.
Well, that's because if you are sent out to the team, I mean to the field for a survey, you are reporting back to a source, the generator of your survey questions, and that will be the person in charge of the analysis and all that. So that is why I didn't go into that, because if I want to talk about analysis, we'll not leave here today.
It's all right. Thank you so
So
much.
as the researcher, your own is just to go to the field and gather the information. The another person will take up the analysis and the interpretation.
All right. Thank you very much. You've done really well today. Thank you so much.
It's okay. Yeah, thank you so much for joining me in this journey. So I hand over to Ruth at this point, since no one has further questions. But in case you have questions or you still need clarity, you can reach out to Ruth, and she'll reach out to me and we'll address it. Is that fine?
Yeah, that's fine.
Yes, ma. Thank you so much.
All right, thank you.
All right, thank you so much, Oluwabukumi. We sincerely appreciate your time with us, and we've gained a whole lot. The knowledge we've gained will really help us on the field, even as we embark on this project. So thank you very much, everyone, for joining. Don't forget to go back to your handbook, check out the assignment attached to this learning session, and please expedite action on them because I will ask for it very soon. So thank you very much, everyone. All right, Charity, you have something to say.
Okay, so I just want to remind my fellow civic champion about our group assignments so that everybody gets the name of their stakeholders ready because we'll be submitting tomorrow.
All right, so that is a very, very beautiful one. the name of your stakeholder, and if possible, if you have their contact or anybody's contact that is close to them, attach it. It's very important to us because we are going to be having an advocacy visit to the stakeholders. So please, I would like to get that assignment unfailingly tomorrow as we are all agreed. All right, thank you, everyone. Olua, okay. All right,
No,
Ma,
okay,
you
I
raised
just
your hand.
want to notify you that I'll be dropping off. That's all.
Okay, thank you very much. Thank you very much.
Bye.
All right. Okay, so thank you very much, everyone. I wish you a very lovely day. Bye.